Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter-like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure. Beef loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host. He's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom. Cherezy E.
Thank you, Cornsey, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, booze, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beefloaf says allegedly, or that he manifested that, you drink. If My Sock Summer talks about the gym or tells us he simply did not have time, you drink. And if I talk music or Star Wars, or if Josh talks Star Wars, you drink. And of course, you can make all of us drink for just $1.08 or more. But speaking of drinking, fellas, what are you drinking? Beef, what are you drinking tonight?
Treasy, you know what? I decided it's winter, and I have so many bottles of port in my wine cellar. So I started open some of these old bottles. This is a Prager port from 2010, Royal Escort. Ports will last basically forever. So this thing's almost 15 years old. It tastes fucking delicious right now. And then you get a port in a restaurant, you're like, oh, this is like drinking syrup. But when they age a little longer, it's not like drinking syrup anymore. It's still sweet, but it's not overly sweet. Fucking delicious. Now, be careful. If you try to drink port, no more than like 2 or 3 of these glasses, you'll have a massive fucking hangover. So, Josh, the exact opposite of the mezcal thing, the port is terrible for hangovers. It'll give you an excruciating one. I'm an experienced drinker, though, so the port is going to be fine. I'm going to have a little... Yeah, CD says 2010 port, call me in 80 years. Yeah, they can last that long for sure.
Treasy, didn't we have port old fashions one night?
We did. I make a port old fashioned. So and beef even more hangovery. So a port old fashioned is it's going to be your bourbon or your rye, whatever you want to use, and then some port, and then some syrup, maple syrup, and Aztec bitters, which are like chocolatey bitters. It is delicious. If you have 3 of those, just don't. You better wake up next to a bottle of aspirin. Like Josh, are you drinking tonight, or are you just trying to stay caffeinated to stay awake?
I haven't grabbed a drink. No, so if things get dire, if you need me to go get a beer or anything, I can.
No, you don't need to do anything.
But right now, I'm drinkless.
It's up to you, man. If you get thirsty, feel free to walk away. We'll hold it down while you're gone. My Sock Summer, what are you drinking?
You know what I have on hand downstairs, other than just all the bourbon that I'm not going to just pour in my mouth, but I could pour in a shot glass. I got that Modelo, the lime and salt. So I'm going to drink 2 of those at least. It is fucking cold. It's in my beer fridge underneath my desk. It's fabulous.
That's good stuff, man. I'm a big fan of it. But tonight for me, it's Star Wars night for me, right? Like, so I busted out
drink out of the
Stormtrooper, but this is a refilled version, and I don't even have any idea what's in this because what was going on
it's
in
your
my
affinity
house is,
bottle, right?
You know, I got that little barrel, and so I was just throwing, like, instead of filling this thing up, because it was full, I was filling up that, and then when the Stormtrooper was eventually empty, I refilled it, and then I had to pour some other stuff in there because I had like some empty in some bottles. I took a drink of this. It is high octane. I mean, this is if it's 120 proof. If it's 1 proof.
You should try to light it on fire.
It is flammable. There's no way.
Take a mouthful of it and then light a match right above your mouth and see if you can shoot a fireball up. That's the real challenge right there. Let's go.
That's not a challenge. The challenge would be if I could light that and a fart at the same time. And it's like,
What are you, a gymnast now? Hey, how the hell you're gonna be able to get all that done? God damn it!
I'll donate some gas.
This is a double dare. That was my favorite double dare physical challenge. So like,
Mark Summers loved it too. Actually,
Mark Summers is here, by the way, so he's gonna help me. He's gonna help me light it
Sounds
up.
good.
He's underneath there doing some things. He's seen some shit.
So, guys, let me just make sure. Yeah, we got a drink here that we should take care of. Our guy Jerry O'Sullivan says this is for MSS, who told me on a live 108 show in early May, "F you" at the thought of trading Crochet after his hot start.
Yes.
Cheers, Jerry.
Thank you, Jer. Appreciate you bringing that back.
And then we got.
We waited.
Hold on.
We probably got more. You know.
This is a great name. We got Pasty Tacos. Says cheers from LSU, fellas. Cheers to you, Pasty Tacos.
Oh, Pasty. Bless your heart.
That means that I love it, and I would eat them.
It reminds me of.
Sure, you would.
It reminds me of the poker player in that one poker room, Beef Taco Pants. We have no idea who the guy was, but he's forever ingrained in our mind.
Taco Pants. We'll never forget Taco Pants.
How could you forget Taco Pants?
MSS, before we jump into this, we should probably pay some bills.
You think so?
Yeah,
I was not even ready. So hold on one sec.
I'm ready for you.
All right, get ready for this. Here we go. Each year, Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp and Chicken, a beloved restaurant, hosted a Christmas feast for those who were hungry. But disaster struck when their delivery truck got stuck, leaving the kitchen without ingredients. Chef Mike looked around disheartened. Without our famous shrimp and crunchy cod, we can't serve the families tonight. Determined to turn things around, Larry leapt out of the deep fryer and declared, "I'll save Christmas." While the wing zings laughed, Larry was serious. He rallied his side friends, fries, coleslaw, and corn fritters, and hatched a plan. "Let's reach out to the other Lawrence's locations," Larry suggested. With help from Beef Loaf, they posted a heartfelt message on the 108 Twitter. "Please bring all your lightly breaded shrimp and ocean perch to the canal location so we can feed the families of Chicago." Soon, Chicagoans arrived at the restaurant with shocking shrimp and fresh frog legs, filling Lawrence's Fish and Shrimp and Chicken with goodwill just as the snow fell outside. Larry took charge in the kitchen, and the aroma of wing zings, onion rings, and chicken tenders filled the air. That night, Larry the Big Chicken Wing didn't just save Christmas. He united the community. In Chicago, the holiday was celebrated like never before, thanks to a big-hearted chicken wing who believed in the power of love and the true spirit of the season. Merry Christmas from Lawrence's. Stop by one of Lawrence's 4 locations today. Check them out at chicagoshrimp.com and place an order if you are on the go. Lawrence's Fisheries, serving the seafood you crave since 1950.
Oh man, you're getting it in the comments, MSS.
There's that one, then there's this one. She says, "Wow." Jackie says, "Wow, it just keeps going, huh?"
Hey, man.
But I have to address this though. Jackie
It's
Treehorn
story.
mentions beef slander from the Trib. That's right. Fuck the Tribune. I've always been a Sun-Times man. They could kiss my ass back then and then kiss my ass now for that little thing about local fat man. Take it easy.
Local fat man and huge chicken wing save Christmas. That's fucking classic shit.
That's the rich.
Okay?
That's the rich people paper. We don't.
That's
read
what it is. We had to pour Southside paper to Sun. We're Sun-Times people. All
I
right.
feel like all over, like this whole year, every ad has been under a minute, and it's been like 30 to 45 seconds. This one is a minute and 30 seconds because it's a good story. It's a warm-hearted story about a chicken wing and a fat man saving Christmas.
So we had the draft lottery was this week, and of course the Sox got the 10th overall draft pick because despite having 121 losses, they were not eligible for a higher pick. However, in the Rule 5 draft, they did get the number 1 overall pick, and with the number 1 overall pick, they took Shane Smith. MSS, you could tell us better than anyone else that Shane Smith is not a porn star.
He is not.
But
nope.
Our good friend Josh Nelson was there almost for this. So Josh, what went down, and maybe give us a little bit of a background on a Shane Smith.
Oh wow.
Oh, I think we might have
in the hotel
broke his brain
where they had the Rule 5 draft and they so in the hotel where they had the Rule 5 draft and the MLB draft lottery was way away from everywhere else, where all the TV sets were, where the media room was, where people were actually staying. It was in another side of the hotel that was a convention side. So it was quite a ways away. It was a long walk. Walked all the way over there. I took that picture. Like, I'm getting ready for the Rule 5 draft because everybody knows how much I love this shit. Walk in. Jim Margulis has got a table. He's ready to work. We're ready to cover. And James Fegan texts us, Crochet to Red Sox. Well, turn around, go back to the media room. This Rule 5 draft has no meaning for me. I got to go help James to cover this breaking news, and I hustled all the way over there. So completely missed it. But, credit to MLB.com, Jonathan Mayo. Like, he heard it, and then he tweeted it out. And I know Future Sox jumped on that as well. So congrats to those guys to be able to know and get who the White Sox were to take first overall in the Rule 5 draft. But yeah, Shane Smith, better than some of the other type of arms that we were hearing tied to the White Sox after the MLB draft lottery rumored. Some guys from the Phillies, in which even the Phillies beat reporters were like, none of these guys throw strikes. So yeah, they throw hard, but they can't throw strikes. So it's not going to work. Shane Smith actually made some starts in AAA. So I wonder if Shane is going to get a chance to be that number 5 starter for the White Sox if they try to stretch him out to throw 4 or 5 innings. But he is very cerebral. He's been on some Brewers podcasts and YouTube shows explaining his pitch mixes. So there's a lot to decipher and learn from Shane with him explaining his arsenal. But I think this is another Brian Bannister project, and maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, the best outcome is that he's another Davis Martin.
Oh, I will take a Davis Martin.
Substantial.
I'll take a Davis, especially if they end up trading a Davis Martin. I mean, at this point, there's no reason that they shouldn't keep trying to go back to the trade well. Beef, where do you sit on a Shane Smith? Do you think he's a starter or a reliever with the Sox this year? He is on the 20. He's going to be on the 26. The 26 man.
You keep saying 25.
28.
You're stuck in a decade ago. I don't know what happened to you, Treasy.
I'm an old man.
My instant thought was that they would choose to put him in the bullpen out of the gate just to refine the remaining issues with everything that he has going on. But he had a damn good year last year. Like, a lot of these guys in Rule 5 draft, you'll look and say, well, the stat lines stink, or this is the problem, or the guy only made it to A-ball or whatever, and they didn't actually. He was established in AA, made it all the way to AAA. I think he made 16 starts in AA. Like, this is a guy who had, like, an actual good year that they ended up having to leave unprotected. So you know that there is some issues there if it was quality stat line or whatever. My thought is probably somewhere in the bullpen. They're probably going to slide him in there. I think they're going to go out and get at least one veteran arm, maybe 2, to solidify the starting rotation. But I had this thought, Treasy, with regards to the Rule 5. When you pick first and you're in the White Sox position where everything is open, it's all open, do you go with the guy who you think could help us the most right now, which feels like Shane Smith, because everyone was predicting this guy would be the first pick, right? Or do you go with the highest upside motherfucker that is in the Rule 5 draft, hoping to hit a gigantic home run because you have the time and you have the kind of the optionality of a roster that's not fully baked? So they, from my standpoint, they went pretty safe here. I'm wondering if that's a mistake or not.
Was that guy there, though? Was there a really high end?
Yeah, who's that dude?
Possibility, because me and MSS went through them.
We did
a lot of the guys last week, and a lot of them just seemed like dudes with a bunch of warts, right? Like, it seemed just like
He's talking about porn stars there.
MSS, yeah. I mean, like CJ Lang for sure, but like, Josh was just mentioning, like, I think he was referring to Griff McGarry, who's like, totally sounds like a porn star, but is a
100%.
pitcher and has no control. Absolutely no control. We talked about him
Future
during
porn star.
We talked about him during the trades with every team. But there's a lot of guys like that. There's a few guys on the hitting side where it's like, typically what it looks like is like the hit tool never came through, but these guys are fast, or they can field, or like, and it's like, I feel like with how shitty the Sox are, like, every trade they make, they're gonna get one of those guys. Like, those guys are a dime a dozen.
It takes a lot of shots though to hit one. That's kind of my point there. And with a team that is coming off a historically bad offensive season, I mean, this is the time to try it if you were going to try it. I'm not against the pick. I like the pick, and I have a feeling he'll probably be pretty good with the White Sox this year. But I just thought in the back of my mind, do you just kind of go for something big? Like the kid from the Cubs that was left unpredicted.
Christian Franklin.
Christian Franklin. Like, that could be a high upside shot. Whereas a guy like, you're like, that guy's not ready for the majors yet, right? But if you find something, you can hide him on the roster or whatever. You know, the old A.J. Preller thing when he was grabbing guys from A-ball. Now, that shit didn't work way back when he did that. He grabbed 3 guys when the Padres were real bad, and he grabbed these young guys. But I just thought about that from a upside standpoint. Is like, the White Sox need everything, and they need lots of it. Why not try that? But I like the pick just fine. I think he probably ends up in the bullpen.
MSS, when you look at this and you're saying like, okay, this Shane Smith comes in, he's could be a 5th starter, he could be a reliever, kind of swingman role. Like, is this to you, like, are you looking at this going like, we could have had Jacob Junis? Why didn't you take a position player?
We couldn't get Jacob Junis in the Rule 5 draft, right?
No, I'm saying
do that.
I'm saying you could sign him off the street.
Tell him MSS.
Use this pick. Use this pick for.
Listen, I know you're the baseball guy, okay? I just watched you do Star Wars blathering for an hour, but Jake Junis wasn't in the Rule 5 draft. Crazy. He's a free agent. We have to sign him. We have to give him actual money. I looked at his stats, and I don't want to call out Josh because I know he's tired and he sounds sick already. But like, he never started in AAA. He only started in AA. He pitched in 5 games in AAA. And he didn't do horribly, but he didn't pitch very much. But in AA, he only gave up like 6 home runs. Now, when I was writing my Jake Junis blog, right, I was looking at like some numbers and stuff, and I'm like, and like AAA, AA guys, I'm like, those guys don't hit home runs, right? Like if you can hit a home run like consistently in AAA and AA, you get moved up, right? Like, they take you and put you into this show, right?
They pay you more money to go do it for the real team.
Yeah, so him not giving up that many home runs it's kind of like, yeah, but there's not a lot of guys that are smashing the shit out of the ball down there for any long periods of time. But I mean, he looks fine. Wow, like I agree with Loaf. If he can be a Dart 2.0, okay, good. Like, we'll get some use out of him. But then this makes Jake Junis even more important because he'll get shelled out at least 2 or 3 games when he starts, and we'll have to throw Jake Junis in there to finish the rest of the game. So, or at least pick up 2-3 innings there, and we're going to need those guys. Like, regardless of like best case scenario, and we'll get to the big one later. But like, I don't know who's pitching. Like, it's 2 years in a row where we're like, who's going to be pitching opening day? We have no idea, you know.
We had predictions about this, but let me get a couple drinks in here first, and we got our guy CD44. He says, "I have a feeling Gabriel is going to be punching himself in the nuts pretty regularly in 2025. Cheers and happy holidays! Happy holidays! Thank you so much for that.
Cheers.
Hey, bless you."
I got to get a quick refill, so I'm gonna just leave CD up there for a minute. There's a very generous.
Oh, there you go.
Very generous tip. I'm gonna give myself a very generous pour.
Pour the 120 out there, baby.
Too. You know what, Beef? I'm not working tomorrow. I'm not working tomorrow.
Me either. I wonder what we got going on.
What are you guys doing tomorrow?
We're heading out to Vegas. That's why this is a Wednesday night show.
That's right. That's correct.
Our guy Trey says, "Cheers, guys. I like the trade. Cheers,
Trey. And Trey, do not delete your Twitter account. I saw you were thinking about doing that. Just stay on Twitter through March. All right.
Yeah, don't do that. I also need to get your email for the White Sox ticket pack. So please don't delete.
Don't put it in here. Send it to us.
No.
Or do, and then you'll be on the American Girl Doll list. You know.
Southside Bum says, "Crap, is today Thursday? Either way, cheers, gents.
Cheers, Johnny."
Beers go down.
So just real quick on the Shane Smith Beef, to your point, like, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, do the Sox see that this might be a really good reliever? A guy who, when he lets loose, can hit 98 and has good control, right? Like, is that the makings of a guy that they see as a reliever? They say, hey, don't throw that curveball anymore. Just throw that slider and the fastball, and that's all you got to do. We're going to make it real easy for you, and just strike people out. I think that's kind of like it. If I'm looking at this, that's where I think I see the most upside for him, and the quickest path to that upside. That's the kind of guy you can flip right away, because that's all we do is flip guys now.
Trade stuff.
But Before we get into the big trade, MSS, one more time, my friend.
Oh shit! See, man, did we pass out like a thing to listen
Nope,
to? This is
we
much
didn't.
quicker, Jackie. Be ready.
The tree with lights so grand, tunes of joy from a magical band. At Mazda of Orland Park we sing, Merry Christmas, let the bells ring. Merry Christmas, Mazda style, smiles and laughter all the while. From our hearts to yours today, Merry Christmas we all say.
And yes, Cornsey, I did use a Suno or whatever the fuck it is to write that
best-
song. I did not make that up myself. Okay.
I would tell you the best part of having Josh on the show is during the commercials, seeing the disappointment in his face for your commercials.
I think he's trying to figure it out. I don't think he's disappointed.
We got a
maybe.
We got a drink from Dale. He says we've seen this pinche movie before. Yeah,
I think he's talking about the trade. Yes, Dale.
And Jackie says that's more like it. Cheers, Jackie. Thank
Get
you.
through it.
At first, I thought Mazda produced that commercial and handed it off to you. Like they paid someone to make
so
that
good.
music.
So good. Well,
They technically did, and they probably want their money back.
No.
All right, guys. Here's the meat. Here's what we wanted to get into. The big trade of the day. What Josh alluded to earlier, that he threw Jim Margulis on the floor, said, "You stay here. I'm going to cover the cool shit. Stay at the Rule 5." Ran across the lobby of the hotel, knocked down James Fegan, and took the mic. Garrett Crochet trade stocks for 4 prospects: Kyle Teal, Braden Montgomery, Chase Mydroth, and Wickelman Gonzalez. According to MLB Pipeline, the 4th, 5th, 11th, and 14th prospects in the Red Sox system. The Red Sox are a top 5 system, so that's nothing to sneeze at. Kyle Teal, according to Baseball America, the number 25 overall prospect, and Braden Montgomery, number 59 on that list. I want to get to everybody, but I know Josh might fall asleep at any time. And I wanted to ask Josh about Braden Montgomery, because these other guys are pretty far into their careers where they're in like triple A. We could get a good gauge of kind of what the stats look like. But Josh, you follow college baseball very closely. Braden Montgomery was injured in the College World Series, but played most of the season. What are we looking at with a guy like Braden Montgomery, and how long is it till we might see him? Because he, drafted this year, but a college player.
So when you say see him, like in the minor leagues or in Chicago?
In the majors.
In the majors. Okay. So Braden Montgomery, switch hitting right fielder from Texas A&M. And defensively, I was impressed because while he does not have the foot speed or the top end speed to play center field, he did cover quite a bit of space in right field for Texas A&M. But the biggest and best attribute defensively for Braden Montgomery is that he's got a cannon. I have film of him throwing out Jack Caglione, who got drafted by the Kansas City Royals after the White Sox drafted Hagen Smith in the first round. Jack hit a laser line drive off the wall, one bounce, warning track, amazing throw directly to second base and nailing Caglione from Braden Montgomery. And when I saw that, like during the broadcast, I'm like, holy cow, who is this guy? And then it's Braden Montgomery. He was a two-way player in Stanford. He had very good freshman and sophomore years. Awful pitcher. Had a terrible time controlling strikeouts and walk rate. Yeah. Big time strikeouts, didn't walk that much. Well, then he goes to Texas A&M, and he's a big question mark because now the competition gets elevated. And offensively, Braden Montgomery was able to cut down the strikeouts. He increased the walk rate. He was one of the best home run hitters last year.
27.
I think he's got great potential hitting from the left side. However, when he's batting right-handed, I have great film of Hagen Smith completely embarrassing him. And this reminds me a lot, as I explaining to James while James is like covering the breaking news. It reminds me of Yohan Mikata. When Mikata was batting left-handed, you're like, all right, buckle up. We got a chance to see something here. Extra base hit, double, maybe a home run. When Mikata's batting right-handed, it's like, let's just get a single. Maybe he'll walk. Maybe he'll get hit by a pitch. The left-handed swing is more refined. And I'm not alone in that opinion. You can go to read Keith Law in The Athletic. He also agrees. There's a lot of scouts that thought Brady Montgomery should just bat left-handed. Does that sound familiar? There's a lot of people who said the same thing about Yohan Mikata. I think Brady Montgomery's got a higher ceiling than Kyle Teal. If everything clicks, you're looking at a guy who's going to hit 25 to 30 home runs. Maybe he doesn't walk a lot, but he could be the White Sox answer in right field, which has been a desert of poor quality since obviously Garcia, Adam Eaton in 2016, 2017. Yeah. So I am high on Brady Montgomery, but that was a pretty gruesome ankle injury. And I don't think he was that much of a base stealer to begin with, but I need to see on how that ankle injury impacts him in the minor leagues, if it hurts his range, because then maybe he doesn't hit that ceiling. And I'm not quite sure what you got. But at least the ceiling-wise and potential-wise, I'm a buyer in Brady Montgomery, and I think he's someone that White Sox fans should be excited about.
Nice. That's awesome. Let's get a drink real quick from our guy, Tadahito. He says, cheers, gents. Love that we got Brady Montgomery, and thanks to MSS for the shot glasses in today's delivery. Cheers, Tadahito.
Cheers.
You are welcome. One of those is for Jake. Milk or soda only. Only sodas.
Well, until he's like 14. And in Bridgeport, you technically can drink. So, yeah. That's okay.
Well, if I was going to say 12, 13. 12, 13.
If you're with your parents, yes. But by yourself, 14.
Well, now that McNally's is closed, you can't go get that at a bar. So you have to do it at the park or someplace.
MSS
Montgomery,
go ahead.
I was going to say, the one thing I would add on, with Montgomery, with Ryan Fuller now, part of the White Sox organization as a director of hitting, I think one adjustment is because Montgomery is more center and gap-to-gap power, try to get him to pull. Because there's another college hitter, prolific, who is center and gap-to-gap, and that guy's name is Andrew Vaughn. And there's some concern with Montgomery offensively that switching over to a wood bat, that those deep home runs that he hit in college off a metal bat become warning track flies. So that's another thing we're going to be paying attention to. What adjustments do the White Sox make with Montgomery to generate more pull side power, especially batting left-handed?
Josh, when you say adjustments, you mean how to cheat well, right? And then not get caught. That's what you're talking about.
Better timing,
whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because Montgomery, when you watch him in Texas A&M, he allows the ball to travel pretty deep in the zone. And I think wondering how can we get your bat head, get the barrel out more in front of the plate so you can take advantage and pull it. Like, it's great that you can hit a fly ball 375 feet if you let the ball travel deeper, but that's an out in center field now. If you can pull it 340, that's going to leave a lot of minor league ballparks. That's going to leave a lot of major league ballparks. So it's that type of adjustment and how can we get the barrel out and you attack the pitch, not allowing it to travel so deep down the pitch tunnel.
Now, Brady Montgomery is probably the only guy of these four that's far from the major leagues. My Sox Summer, when you look at a trade and you're thinking about this is the GM making this trade, what are your thoughts on Chris Getz and maybe the level of balls to say you're going to see a lot of the guys that we traded for almost immediately?
I don't know. I don't really understand the question. You said these guys are going to come up right away. Versus
unlike a player, unlike
time.
So like
in Red Sox.
If I'm a GM, I'm going to get a bunch of guys in single A and rookie ball, and it's going to be 3-4 years before you even have a chance to judge me on these guys.
Yes.
Miguel Vargas was the trade last year. People were judging Chris Getz harshly immediately.
Yes.
He goes out, he makes this trade. 3 of the 4 guys in this trade we could see in 2025. What do you think about making a move that way?
we should be okay in outfield, right? We just signed that guy. We Trackman.
No, we're a terrible team all over the field. But Mike Talkman and Austin Slater have not fixed the outfield.
Well, what I'm saying, though, is that we've got some people. So maybe Braden does not have to come up almost immediately.
Braden's far from the majors. The other three.
The other three, I don't think that's a problem because I guess I would just think it this way. What we have, and one thing that Sox fans are definitely okay with is letting somebody come up and take multiple shots at trying to succeed and fail. Like Oscar Colas, still at the end of last season, people are like, why are we not letting Oscar Colas come back up here and play? I want to see him out there and let him take some reps. Let him take reps. Now, these guys have some caliber, and now they have been judged by other teams, and other teams have said that they're good. So we, at least outside of our system, people have said they're good, which is nice. So then you're like, well, they got to be at least somewhat decent so we can put them out there in the field and play. I think that's fine. And there's enough cachet with some of these names that they'll be okay. You know, I was looking through some of it. It's not overwhelming, right? It's not like, oh God, but I guess the other problem that I'm seeing and foreseeing is the overvaluation of Garrett Crochet's like value in like going out into the trade market. People thought that we were going to get a ton of like major league talent ready people. White Sox premium guy Kendall was like, we got fleeced. You got fleeced. And it's like, dude, this guy put together one season. We still don't know what he's going to do going forward. So you're not going to get
don't know the injuries
major league ready people, and you
got three major league ready guys.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is, but what your question to me is they're not going to be like the best, right? And people are going to be pissed about it. I don't know if they're like going to be top level major league talent like people were expecting. I think that they're going to play, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to be, oh, this guy's great, But I'm hopeful that Kyle Teal can at least challenge Chucky for the second catcher on this fucking team. So
yes, obviously.
Yeah, he will. He will.
So we got.
I'm curious now because James during the second day of the winter meetings asked about Edgar Caro, and I tweeted out Chris Getz's reaction. Getz speaks about Edgar Caro much differently than Colson Montgomery. When it comes to Colson Montgomery, Getz will flat out say we're going to give him every opportunity to win the starting shortstop job for opening day in spring training. And that's what White Sox fans need to hear. They need to, when they're watching spring training, Colson Montgomery has a real shot to be the opening day starting shortstop. Whether you agree with that decision or not, that's the mentality of the White Sox. Edgar Caro, a little different, a little bit more patience coming from the tone of Chris Getz. So I know I have a lot of people on Twitter be like, oh, the catching duo is going to be Corey Lee and Edgar Caro. I find that to be unlikely. I don't know if it's even going to be Kyle Teal. The White Sox may do a non-roster invitee minor league contract type of deal, which I do have some dope from agents at the winter meeting. So if you guys have time, I don't want to completely take over your show. I can share a little bit more insight on that, what agents told me.
Bring it. We are a pro-dope show.
Okay. So back to what Beefloaf said about signing a veteran starting pitcher. He is right, but agents told me during, again, everyone's having drinks and everyone was kind of somewhat freaking out that Jake Berger got traded to Texas. So it was during this time, to give you a timeline, when an agent told me the White Sox have approached me and they approached my clients, but what the White Sox are currently offering are minor league contracts that will pay my clients more than the $2 million that's typical for the market on a minor league contract if that player makes the major league squad. But it's like a wink. Like, it's a minor league contract, but your clients have a really good chance of making the team. And it's like creative accounting again. Like, maybe Getz doesn't have the money now, but he'll have the money in February. So I can't commit a contract to you right now. So maybe on that front, not only starting pitching front, maybe on the relievers like we saw last year. Hey, were you a former closer that had catastrophic Tommy John surgery? Come on over. We need you in Glendale.
Enjoy.
And it may be the same thing at catcher as well. I do not think the White Sox are going to roll with Corey Lee or Edgar Caro to start the season. I don't think they're going to go with Corey Lee and Chucky Robinson to start the season. Corey Lee, sure. but it's someone that may not even be on the 40-man roster yet. That'll be part of that catching duo to start opening day, but it ain't going to finish with those guys. We could see a season where it is Edgar Caro and Kyle Teal being the catchers for the White Sox to end 2025. So some flexibility is needed for White Sox fans and what we're going to see behind home plate. We could see 4 or 5 different guys catch for the White Sox next year.
Hopefully, it'll be like another guy like Max Stassi, and I can win another $200 worth of pizza from.
I think he signed with San Francisco.
You're never getting that
Yeah,
pizza.
he's already signed.
I know I'm never getting that pizza.
I was actually thinking about that the other day, MSS, and I think it's funnier if I don't give it to you. But I'm kidding.
Well, the other thing too that I can share some light on this morning. I think what may have played a factor, because it sounds like this deal came together last night when everyone is having drinks. So great job on Chris Getz, because no one's paying attention to what you are doing and where you are in the hotel that late at night. Dylan Cease being traded is very serious. So all of a sudden, Chris Getz had serious competition on the trade market. There is something going on for more than half the league. I don't want to say panic quite yet, but there are teams seriously sweating because their television deals are awful. All San Diego got is $15 million from their TV deal. The White Sox, who lost 121 games last year in their last year of their Comcast deal, got $70 million. Okay. When you have that gigantic of a difference in TV money, all of a sudden San Diego is now worried about payroll. And they saw how successful their trade last year worked for them, trading Juan Soto before letting him go in free agency. Dylan Cease, I think, is going to get traded, which is going to be really odd because he was really good for San Diego last year, and they still need pitchers. So I think that played a factor as well, my Sox summer, in which if you keep waiting around to trade Garrett Crochet and now Dylan Cease is available, that could take teams away from that was interested. So it came together pretty quickly. Getz was consistent saying nothing was imminent until Tuesday night when the Red Sox finally made an offer that Getz couldn't refuse.
Josh, great point on the TV deals, because there was a recent Joe Sheehan newsletter where he talked about the stable and unstable teams and profiled how much they've spent in free agency, each group, and the unstable group hasn't spent hardly anything as an entire group. The other group obviously includes Soto, so it's big. But even when you scoop Soto out, they're spending multiples of the other side because that side's cobbling together whatever money they have because their TV deals suck. The ones that have good, strong TV deals coming in, they've just got a lot more cash flow.
Yeah. This was a joke, but I think it's serious. I was told the next 2 winter meetings have been decided. 2025 is going to be in Orlando. 2026 will be canceled because there will be a lockout. And when I say a lockout, it's not owners against players. It's owners against owners. There are so many owners, and beat reporters were already hearing this. Behind the scenes, there are so many teams incredibly pissed off at Steve Cohen. Incredibly pissed off. There's going to be a war between the Major League Baseball owners. And I don't know how it's going to play out. And the Poor Players Association is just going to be sitting there and being like, what is going on? There's going to be so many grievances. That was a real thing. The Players Association was ready to file a grievance, a labor relations issue that would go to a U.S. court against the Athletics of Sacramento, whatever they're calling themselves, because they were not spending enough money. That's why they had to give Severino all that money and completely surprised everyone. So there's so much, let's just call it bullshit. There's so much off the field business bullshit that is going to completely determine on how teams build this offseason. The White Sox are one of those teams. So Chris Getz needs to navigate through those waters while the White Sox have uncertainty with their TV network, with Chicago Sports Network. And everybody saw that rumor that Marquee and CHSN may need to merge to make Comcast happy. I don't know how real that is. But yeah, it is crazy, Beefloaf. And it's really hard to convey to our fellow fans. Be like, well, I don't care, right? This sounds like work. This sounds like business stuff. If I want to know business stuff, I get the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. I
don't
just
care
want to
about
be
this.
entertained.
I want to go watch
Why
the
does
team
my
play
team
ball.
suck?
Yeah.
Well, I'm explaining to you why your team sucks, because your team business-wise could be fucked over with their TV deals, that they don't have enough cash to spend, so they gotta develop their own guys, and that creates a whole number of problems. But I'm glad that Joe did send that out in his newsletter. That needs to be amplified, because that is the biggest factor right now in Major League Baseball that we're not talking about enough, is that there are far more poorer teams than there are rich teams. And it may be only 6 teams that could spend this off.
You know what? The teams that say they can't spend because of this, the teams that the owners that are crying poor, I have one thing to say. It's from the Modern Drunkard Guide to Drinking, is if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go to the bar. So maybe don't go to the bar.
You can't afford the tip. You can't get Corbin Burns. You can't.
Yeah, but Treasy, they're stuck, because who wants to buy a team that has no TV money coming in? You know, that's where the spot. They're in a tough spot right now. They could have done it a while ago when they were being cheap, when they were getting a lot of TV money. They were assholes before. I mean, they're still assholes, but they're less assholes now because they're not getting as much money. You know?
We're gonna find out who wants to do it, because Minnesota's for sale.
I did talk to Dan Hayes, old friend Dan Hayes, and I asked him if anyone's nibbling for the Twins ownership. Nothing. They're in the same boat. Like, the Twins are seriously considered listening to Carlos Correa, because Dan didn't tell me this, but the gossip about the American League Central, and that's why Cleveland made the trade they did yesterday, because they're in trouble. They had to unload Andres Jimenez's contract. Josh Naylor could be also unloaded. Is the Twins may need to unload anywhere from $30 to $50 million over the next course of the season. If they are bad in the first half, Carlos Correa will be gone at the trade deadline. They have to move him because of financial reasons. Let me blow your mind, which means the only teams right now in the division that have a little cash to rub their fingers on and spend are Kansas City and Detroit. How did this happen? Like, in the American League Central, there needs to be a roundtable discussion. How did this happen, where the only teams that could spend some cash are the Kansas City Royals and Detroit Tigers?
But the Chiefs like getting some money out there, and Jason Benetti. Clearly the only two answers that you can have right there.
Mahomes is part of the ownership group.
Yeah,
let's get some drinks real quick. We got one from Dale. He says, snorting peyote lizards in the right field desert. Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Thank you, Dale.
I've done that. We got one from our guy CJ. He says, wait, what even is today? Fuck it. Cheers.
CJ. Appreciate you, my friend.
We got maybe one more. We got Joey P. He says, I'm remaining optimistic about this deal. Salud, hermanos.
You should, hermano.
Salud.
And happy 20, I think 19 years.
19-year anniversary. Yeah. He and Sandy. Nice.
Oh, congratulations.
That was yesterday,
We got Jackie Treehorn says, black shirts all around. This a funeral? I mean, for
Jackie, they're slimming. All right, I don't know if you noticed.
Exactly.
We got a little bit of a weight problem in these squares right here. We got slimming shirts on, okay?
I'm an old goth guy in the old goth bar. So cheers.
Cheers.
That's great. Good observation, Jackie.
All right, Beef. I've let you sit there kind of not talking about the trade
so
enough.
quiet.
I don't care. I've been promoting the show all over the place.
Drinking a bunch of port. I think I've got you at the right amount of liquor. And you wrote recently a blog about the return on Crochet, and they're like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's gonna be somewhere in this kind of like good range of like not too bad, not too great. Like, do you feel like it fell into that range, or do you feel that maybe it's on further to one side than the other?
I think it did fall into the range of market value. Maybe it's a little plus market value, but not a lot. But I think the market value that I thought it was going to be was lower than this. I'll just put it that way, because when we were making the trade blogs, Treasy, I didn't think that they would get 2 pieces like they got. I thought they'd get a piece like Kyle Teal or Braden Montgomery, and then the secondary piece would be a smaller piece than this, and that they would fill it out a lot more depth-wise. So, yeah, I think it landed in the window of this is kind of market value. Now, market value change a bit, as Josh mentioned, with the pitchers coming off the board, and then the scarcity of like, well, some people don't have money, and mentioning Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease was funny too because Dylan Cease is going to cost less than what this just cost because you only have 1 year of Dylan Cease there. But yeah, I think it fell in that bucket, Treasy. And what I meant in the blog, that this return doesn't matter, even though we're going to talk about this return for another half hour, is that in the grand scheme of things, this is a nice thing, but this is not a make or break for the entire roster. What little things they do today, they've got to amplify. This is a situation of, it's a small thing. They got to keep getting shit right, transaction by transaction, development by development, year by year. This is going to take a long time. We looked at it the last time this happened as trading Chris Sale will solve everything. We'll get these 3-4 good prospects and boom, it's going. And now we should know better, and I think we do know better. And so that was really the point of it. But I think he got market value. There was a lot of people, oh, he's going to get fleeced. You're not getting fleeced. It's a public auction when you have Garrett Crochet out there. All the teams are basically bidding on it, and then the serious ones will get it. It's like, Josh, you mentioned a lot an RFP. You'll mention, right?
Yeah.
Or in real estate where they have bids and they go to the different rounds of bidding as the serious bidders collaborate and the non-serious fall off. That's kind of what happened here, and that's what happens in these big trades because everyone knows about it. Everyone gets leaked pieces. Everyone kind of roughly knows market value, and it goes up and up until an offer is accepted.
Agents, executives, media, analysts all agree with Beefloaf on this. This was a reoccurring thing that I kept hearing about the White Sox and Chris Getz and all the hires in Dallas for this entire week, where the points that Beef mentioned, like, it's great that you made this trade, but you have this reputation where things fizzle and they fizzle fast and you don't have a follow-up plan. So
yeah,
a lot of people at Dallas would agree with you, Beef.
Now, Beef,
good Lord.
let's start digging in. I want to give you Kyle Teal first. Kyle Teal, it seems all around good catcher. Seems like a quality piece. If you're looking at the Red Sox top prospects, though, he's not one of the big three. He's like on the outside looking in of the real top prospects. How do you feel about a Kyle Teal?
As Josh mentioned, Braden Montgomery is the ceiling of this trade. He's the thing you're hoping to hit big. Kyle Teal's the floor. He's the guy who's going to be a major leaguer. The defense is already there. He's undersized, but he kind of does everything well behind the plate. He hits enough already to be kind of a major league catcher right now. He's catcher one. I mean, I don't think there's any concern about that. One thing I kept seeing, and Josh brought up earlier about Edgar Carroll and Corey Lee, I saw Sox fans, well, we got catchers. Why are you getting this redundant piece of Kyle Teal? Let's ignore the fact that a lot of the whispers have been that people aren't sure about Edgar Carroll on defense. All right, let's forget that shit for a second. Have we learned nothing from the last rebuild? How did that fizzle out? We lacked depth, and it showed up everywhere. So I have no problem with, you think you got a catcher? Get another fucking catcher. It's okay. You can put more guys on the roster. Now, with this guy, too, I feel a little comfortable because we have Walker McKinnon, the nine-finger man. He's a fucking catcher whisperer. So I have to believe he was in the conversations, and you're like, okay, what do you think about this guy? Yeah, this guy, we can work with this guy. And so I have utmost confidence in the defense. One thing with Kyle Teal, boys, is I'm a little worried that he looks a little bit too much like Clint Howard for my taste. Now, ugly guy, but I think it'll make him popular with Sox fans. He's white, he's undersized, and he's an ugly dude. He is going to be a fan fucking favorite immediately. There's Kyle Teal jerseys going to be for sale at Sox Fest Live. My Sox number, guarantee it. But now, this is the part of the trade where it's not that exciting, but it's good. They need more guys like this. There need to be more guys who just plug in. This guy you could plug him in tomorrow and be a 2-win catcher. They need a lot more of this type of shit. And yeah, there is room for shooting the moon, but let's grab those stable, reasonable players. And I was very pleased to see him in the trade. I was surprised, actually.
MSS, would I have got you with a Kyle Teal in porn star or baseball player? Are you kidding? Oh, come on.
No, because if the Teal was Teal, yes. But Tee, you don't make up your name and have that make it be like that. No.
What if it was Kyle Peel, like a banana?
I mean, Josh,
Now we got him.
Now
he's
I'm
killed.
questioning it, but no, Teal, without the A, can't do it.
Now, Josh,
Here's some more dope on the catching situation, Beef. I am ready to hear the first compliment about Corey Lee from someone in baseball that doesn't mention his throwing arm.
wow.
Corey Lee, he could throw the ball. Yeah. What else do you like about him?
Josh, I remember early in the season last year, he looked athletic and everything back there, and he had Martin Maldonado sitting next to him. So you're like, oh, he looks good, because obviously Maldonado looked terrible, and there was a little power and all that. As the season wore on and we were watching him, MSS and I are like, this guy can't block a ball. I don't know what the hell this guy does exactly back there. And then when he went on that streak where he dipped his on-base percentage from something reasonable like 320 to like 260, 250 or whatever. Yeah. It's like, this guy might not be a major league player. Like that could be where he's at. Like
Jim's theory is, and something he's going to be tracking all season, and maybe he's right, is with the White Sox agreeing to this trade because of Kyle Teal, does the catcher whisperer McKibben already make it known Corey Lee's more of a project than expected? There's a lot of work to be done here. We don't have a lot of time for him to figure it out. Teal and Caro are going to be better than him. So how much effort, Chris, do you really want me to put in to try to make Corey Lee better?
That's a great point.
That's a very interesting situation there.
It's a great point, and hang on, let me dovetail off that. Yeah. One thing we're noticing about Getz little by little for paying attention is he's not afraid to say, well, we tried that, fuck it, it's over. Because you're already looking in the outfield, and he's not saying great things about Dominic Fletcher already. And they just traded for Dominic Fletcher, and he's already kind of like, he's got a lot to do with the plate, and he's like, so at least Getz is cognizant enough of, that didn't fucking work, let's move on. This is the opposite of the Rick Hahn era when they would give everyone 50 million chances. He is already kind of like, well, fuck that. I'm going to sign 2 outfielders. And again, this is a shot at Corey Lee, like you mentioned, Josh. Fuck that. I'm going to trade for a good catcher, and we're going to get that guy in there. It is interesting to watch. Getz is willing to turn the roster over pretty quick.
There was a conversation off season between the White Sox front office and Dominic Fletcher. And what they said, what they'll tell you in the public is, we are asking for more consistency at the plate. I don't think it was that nice.
They said, you got to start hitting, and you need to get 3 inches taller.
Buddy, you're great on defense. You can't hit. Like you're not a major leaguer if you can't hit better. So we'll see what Dominic does this offseason hitting wise. And if you don't like Dominic Fletcher, I'm not hearing great things about Oscar Colas, and I don't think Colas has much of a chance in spring training to earn a spot.
I don't think we've heard anything good about Oscar Colas
in a while.
I barely had gray hair the last time I heard good things about Oscar Colas.
Getz' expectations that Talkman and Slater are going to play all 3 outfield positions in 2025
Yep.
All right. Speaks volumes about Dominic Fletcher and Oscar Colas.
They're sending Fletcher to the same place where Dave went to get hair so that he could get taller. That's the surgery they're giving him.
I have so many off-the-show questions about that. Okay.
Oh, man.
Going to Turkey.
When me and Beef are back from Vegas, we'll sit down and hopefully we can even get Dave to come in. And we'll just
it's all about it. Yeah, exactly.
We'll get a close in look.
His hair will look like mine.
I did have a question for you guys, and I'll start with Beef on this with the Kyle Teal thing. One of the things I read about him was that he's got a little more speed than you would expect for a catcher, and of course, with any catcher, that's going to fade over time because you're like a football player. You're giving yourself up for the sport in this case. Do you feel like there's any kind of merit to the idea of let's have 3 catchers for a while. Let's let Kyle Teal DH. Let's let Edgar Caro DH and extend their careers a little bit, extend the athleticism a little bit, by not having them behind the plate every damn day when we don't really have a good DH. We don't really have maybe Edgar Caro plays some games at first. Do you think there's any merit to that idea?
I do. I think there's a ton of it. And what's interesting is Getz keeps bringing that up. He keeps bringing up versatility when he talks about certain players. And he brought it up when we talked about Kyle Teal. And there has been a little bit of second base, I think, at first base in his past where he has picked up a glove at some of these spots. I'm shame on me for not having the name of this, but Kyle Bodie linked a paper and put it on Twitter a while back that I read most of it. And it was an academic paper, but it was like the Dodgers brass that kind of like pushed to have this paper done. And it talks about putting together a baseball roster and talks about the versatility of the position players. And obviously, when you watch the Dodgers, they compile guys who have a lot of versatility because it gives you like infinite combinations of how to do the lineup, how to put together the defense, et cetera, et cetera. And so having the additional versatility in any of these players, it looks like Getz is like jumping onto that idea where he can in situations where he can. And I expect them to utilize it. I expect them to put together a roster where you're going to have the flexibility. And he's doing it with the outfielders, as Josh just mentioned. You know, he signed two guys in Austin Slater and Mike Tauchman who can handle playing all the outfield positions. I don't think I'd want either of them playing center field for a month. But for a Sunday, they won't embarrass themselves like J.B. Shuck or whoever else the fuck we had out there in past years. And in the corners, they won't embarrass themselves. You know, like, so there is a level of, I think that's what they're shooting for in the entire roster, Treasy. And so, yes, I think it's valuable. And I could see them during the year carrying three catchers at points.
MSS, if you're a guy watching these games day in, day out, are you wanting like a real DH where the guy's going to like be the good hitter that you expect every game, or are you okay with them kind of whirling through all these different guys just to have the flexibility of a lot of positions being able to be rostered?
I'm trying to think of the last like dedicated DH we actually had, okay,
Encarnacion.
Yeah. Okay, so it's been what, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah.
Sure. So I mean, it's been a while. So yeah, getting rid of Gavin Sheets definitely opens the door. I think this is a two birds with one stone. And I think Loaf was like hit right on the head. Guys get hurt. Our guys seem to get hurt a lot easier than other guys. And so to have three guys that can play the same position, that isn't just utility infielder, like a catcher and DH, that's a big advantage. Now, would I like maybe my guy that's going to play DH to hit more than 13 home runs in a season in the minors? Yes, I probably would. But again, I don't know. It's just like you're hoping that one of these guys is going to do something, but consistent hits would be nice too, honestly. I mean, I don't even really care if it's a home run, but I would like a home run in my DH guy. Like, I would like that to happen.
You want a little more power out of that DH
guy
than you're going to get.
Because that's what you expect, right? Like, traditionally, you expect your DH guy to go up there and be able to smash the shit out of the ball or strike out. Right?
Now, Josh,
I mean, you want him to do it.
The power profile is weak on Teal, right? Like, I mean, like he's got some power, but
10 to 15 homers.
But it's not a big home run guy. The one thing I read, what I was alluding to earlier, is the athleticism and like the fact that like, oh, this guy could still steal some bases. Josh, are we looking at a guy who's like truly athletic, is like a Jason Kendall, or is this just like he's not slow as fuck? Like where is Kyle Teal in terms of his athleticism?
When I hear athleticism, he is a guy that he drops down to one knee behind home plate. So his ability to go down one knee, because he's trying to frame the low strike. And if there is a pitch, if he's catching a right-handed pitcher and they spike a slider, he demonstrated, especially in Virginia, and it sounds like the scouting reports with the Red Sox, he does a very good job to be able to get off that knee and move his body. So that's what makes Kyle Teal a really good blocker. He's got very good lateral movement behind home plate. I saw him run down maybe 10, 15 yards away from home plate and catching foul balls in college as well. So he does a good job at tracking fly balls. Now we'll see in the majors, right? Because they talk about the importance of 3 levels, and that throws some guys off. But defensively, I think that's where the athleticism really comes into play for Teal. Now on the base paths, we'll see with the speed of the game in the major leagues, not a stolen base threat, but is he the one that can consistently, if he's batting 8th and by miracle, Jacob Amaya hits a single, does Teal get from first to third more often? Is he someone who can get an extra base with his base running? That's something to see. I can't wait to see that. But when I think athleticism, I think the athleticism lends to why Kyle Teal can be an above average blocker behind home plate, which will help the White Sox because they did not have that last year. Maldonado and Corey Lee were two of the worst in Major League Baseball in blocking pitches, and that impacts everything. It impacts confidence in pitchers' ability to throw their breaking stuff,
Right.
and it also impacts pitch calling as well, because if Lee doesn't have confidence in blocking the pitch and there's a runner on third, he's not going to call breaking stuff, and then opposing hitters can start eliminating pitches that they're going to see in that at-bat.
Yeah, well, I was thinking the athleticism when you're explaining it. Treasy, way to think about it is think NHL hockey goalie as opposed to
Exactly.
NBA small forward. Different type of athleticism, but I think it's more a goalie style athleticism.
Yeah, that's a great point, Beef.
I like
that's a great point.
I like that. All right, now we've gotten through Teal and we've talked about Montgomery, and I think that that's the big meat of the trade, right? That's the dong of the trade. It's like so.
The shaft.
We can look at that, but like remember there are 4 guys in this trade, and two more of these guys are close to the majors, and so the next up is Chase Mydroth, and I want to start with you, MSS, on this guy, and I don't want to talk anything about his looks.
Yeah. He's definitely a candidate for like I fucked my sister's friend. Or
I mean
best
this
friend.
this guy
I mean, for sure.
I kind of feel like we it's wrong for us to take him from Boston. He feels
He just belongs so much.
He
doesn't he?
does look south.
I saw this motherfucker in Cask and Flagon 10 years ago.
He gets killed right at the beginning of The Departed. I don't know if you remember that, Tracy.
Or what was that movie where they're going around robbing all the banks, like in Ben Affleck's in it,
The
like,
town.
the town.
But
Yeah, I was gonna say
MSS
the neighborhood. It's not the neighborhood.
It's the neighborhood. But MSS. This guy is he probably lands at second base. High OBP guy. Doesn't strike out a ton. He's not a home run guy. He's got doubles power. Does this immediately give you flashbacks to Nick Madrigal? Now he's like 5 or 6 inches taller than him.
Well,
But does that kind of profile worry you? Like, does that worry you though? To being a player on the White Sox where the park is small, and not going to be a home run guy, but also we're counting a lot on him just getting on base all the time.
how's his base running? Because that was Nick Madrigal's biggest problem. Like he just kept running through signs, and can he listen? Now, Treasy originally, like you just saying that he's 4 to 5 inches taller than Nick Madrigal makes
he's
me
5'10".
like him.
He's more than that. Yeah, he's 5'10".
I like him more already because there's one thing I know about really short dudes. They don't listen. They definitely don't look at signs, but they also have something in them that they have to prove themselves, too much. So they're like, have to go out there. And he was angry. Like I remember seeing Nick Madrigal at Sox Fest 2020, back when everyone says it was good. And he was just angry the entire time. He was a little short king, and he just looked grumpy. He was very grumpy. And then he played like he was grumpy. And he always seemed just off, and I don't know. I don't like him. So the inches make it's better. And hopefully if he can hit, oh God, I mean, I'm happy with the double. I'm happy with the single of just getting some type of production from a guy playing on the Chicago White Sox in 2025 will have me happy. Yes.
I really just asked that question knowing that I would get a soundbite out of that, and the inches make it better is definitely going to be that soundbite.
Yeah.
Beef.
When
When you look at a Chase Mydroth, is this a guy that you think is on the roster opening day?
I do. I absolutely think he's on the roster opening day. I don't know if he's starting or if he's just going to be in a reserve role because it seems like even though it's more likely he's a second baseman, he does have some flexibility to pick up a glove in a lot of places. My concern here, and it sounds like there's a lot of contact, there's a great batter's eye, but the issue is that you mentioned it, Treasy, is no power, and a lot of times when these guys get to the major leagues, the major league pitchers just knock the bat out of their hand, and they're not worried about them. They will challenge them all the time, and that walk rate shrinks from, and I'm looking, his AAA walk rate this past year was 18.8%. That shit shrinks down to 6 or 7% because they don't care. They know you're not going to take them out of the ballpark. When I saw this part of the trade, I thought to myself, I wonder if this is the type of guy where Ryan Fuller is like, hey, get that guy, and maybe we could teach him how to pull the ball and lift a little bit, and we can turn a profile that's no power into 10, 12, 15 home runs. And now all of a sudden you're fucking playing with house money and you got a real guy out of this spot, because when looking at it instantly, it looked like one of these, like, oh, that he has some great fake minor league stats, but he might not be shit. And there's no speed, right? As you mentioned, the defense is not a strength on this guy. He can pick up the glove, but he's not like, oh, he's a plus at any of the spots.
Well, yeah,
I think he makes the roster, but there's still a fair amount of concerns. And I wonder if he's the type of guy where they're like, well, let's work it out, and you're batting first or second in this lineup, or if he ends up just being a reserve.
Yeah, I read something about him where like, oh, he's played a lot of third, but not an arm for third.
That's got to wind up like Madrigal. You were mentioning Madrigal.
Basically, I mean, like that's why it like all started to smell like Madrigal to me. I was a little bit worried. Josh, do you think that, like, to Beef's point, if he really concentrates on it, if he's getting a ton of strikes, that the power could show up? Or is this just look, this dude's going to play second base until someone beats him out of the second base position?
The comp that I think fits here is, I was told, this is like another Danny Mendick type of player the White Sox have acquired. Somebody who's a super utility guy that you kind of like, I'm not crazy about him. And then you look at their baseball reference and it's like, God damn, they played 7 years in the majors. He could just be this kind of journey guy because he's adequate at second base. He doesn't embarrass himself there. He will shock you if he's got to play twice a week where he'll go 1 for 3 in one game or 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Like, he finds way to get on base, a grinder. He gets rave reviews as far as makeup. Like, that's the one thing I heard in the media room from some of the Boston guys is the White Sox coaches are just going to love this guy. Like, he's a great addition to any clubhouse. A go-getter is one phrase that I was to describe him. So I think he's going to be in the competition. It does make spring training interesting because you have this whole middle infield pseudo competition between Colson Montgomery, Jacob Amaya, Brooks Baldwin, Lenine Sosa, and now the White Sox with this trade with Chase now being part of the roster. It makes spring training interesting. I am a betting man. At this moment, I would say I bet he starts in AAA. But I would not be surprised if Beef and My Sox Summer and even you, Treasy, are right that he does find a way to be on the opening day roster. But I don't think he's an impact guy. He's just more of a guy that's like your 25th or 26th guy on the roster.
All right. I mean, I think that's a good comp of Danny Mendick. And I think the hope is that, you know, that kind of guy would push a Lenine Sosa to say, like, you know what, dude, you're out of options. This guy is coming in here and he's playing way harder than you. He's doing everything right. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Maybe finally we unlock what Lenine Sosa is supposed to be. My guess is we don't, and Chase Mydroth is
on the roster
opening day.
Not a lot of patience left for Lenine.
And me and this guy are having a good time at Shinnick's. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Sure are. Look at the pearls. Bring that photo back.
I think that's
plenty of him.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Are those pearls, or is that just like
I think it's one of those
chain
ball chain. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a little bit thicker. Trees, you probably recognize that's from his industrial music days.
That's my wallet chain. That's my wallet chain. All right, the last guy we're going to talk about is Winkleman Jones. Oh wait, no, it's Winkleman Gonzalez.
Winkleman was right. Winkle Jones was right.
Winkleman Gonzalez. I'm going to start here because this is the exact guy that me and Beef put in the back end of every trade, every big trade that we put together when we do the trades with every team. Or this is the guy we look for when we're like, there's really not anything to trade with this team. Just grab this guy.
Yeah, I remember this dude.
Great stuff. Bad control. So to give you and to put that to frame that for people, like, okay, what does that actually look like? He had in Double-A last year in 83 innings, 92 strikeouts. I love that.
Yeah, sounds good.
4.9 walks per 9. I don't love that. It's a little little higher than I want. So the question is, with a guy like this, and with the Sox roster and the way that they treat the bullpen, Beef, are we going to see Wickelman Gonzalez in the pros at some point this year, throwing out of the bullpen, and Bannister trying to get him to just really work on what he's comfortable with and getting outs the way that he can?
I mean, in the minors, he's been primarily a starter, Treasy. My thought when I saw this, when I started looking a little bit, I was thinking, in the back of my mind, I got back to how quickly Getz has turned over the roster, and I thought, they're going to bring this guy in here. They're going to try something with him. If it doesn't work in 2 months, this is one of the first motherfuckers off the 40-man roster. This guy will be gutted before the season even ends if he can't get his shit together with the command. I'm just looking around at it as like he's the throw-in, and yeah, it seems like a volatile throw-in because, like you mentioned, it's a decent fastball, good slider. Like there's some parts to work with here, but no command whatsoever. So my thought is no. I bet they'll try to see what they can do with the command, and if it doesn't work, gone. Like I think he might have a short shelf life.
Josh, what are your thoughts on a Wickelman Gonzalez?
Well, there's thoughts and there's the hopes. The first thing that I heard, like from Craig Goldstein at Baseball Perspectives, when he saw the trade, it's like, oh, Gonzalez, that's a Bannister special. Like, watch him become Prelander. God, I'm so tired. I can't. Thank you. I can't even speak anymore. I got to get through this.
We only need about 5 more minutes out of it.
It's fading fast. But as you mentioned, the strikeout to walk ratio. And I don't know I don't think he's going to be a starter. I mean, I guess they could. Does he even have? No, this is like totally a Bannister special. Yeah, because he's shortish for a pitcher. He's 6 foot tall, but he's very lean,
skinny.
So I
167. Yeah,
he's lean. He's lean. So I think Bannister's just going to be like, hey, you got 2 pitches. Let's try to make you a reliever. This is going to be the easiest way for you to get into the major leagues and see how he fares, especially maybe with the Birmingham Barons out of the bullpen to start the season. He could be part of the White Sox bullpen this year if he can find some type of control. But this seems to be like a Bannister special. Here's my project. Let's see if I can get a reliever out of this guy for $750,000 if he pitches the entire season or at the prorated rate, as money is tight. So again, it's a lottery ticket. You go to the gas station and Gonzalez is that $2 lottery ticket, and you might get lucky. You scratch it off and get your money back, and he helps you out to get through the season in the minor leagues, or you win $5 and he pitches 15 innings for the White Sox and helps you get through the season. So not something you can count on, but I like this lottery ticket a lot better than some of the other lottery tickets for the White Sox, where I couldn't even tell you who the 4th guy was in the Chris Sale, Yohan Mercado trade. Luis Alexander Basabe will always have a good story because he should have been traded to another team, but the other team screwed up on the computer and picked the wrong Basabe. I love that story. But I think it's a worthy lottery ticket. So it's another high velocity type of arm that Brian Bannister and Ethan Katz, to a certain extent, can work out in spring training and see what you got.
MSS, you have sat in the seats with me and Beef Loaf for a long time, and many, many times we've told you, oh, you got to watch this guy. He's got some great stuff. The control's not quite there. You've seen us bet on the first at-bat from Thiago Vieira to see if he would hit a guy with a pitch, and he did not. He hit him on the hit the second guy.
He hit the second guy, son of a bitch. I should have won that bet. He hit the second guy.
MSS, are you sick and tired at this point of pitchers coming to the White Sox that have all the tools in the world but can't throw a goddamn?
No, because it reminds me of Major League. And you know what? It provides conversation. And if we're getting our asses handed to us all next year like we did this past year, I mean, we need to talk about something. We need to have something to look forward to. And maybe it's Wickelman Gonzalez nailing somebody in the fucking head. You know, who knows? But in the helmet. I don't want anybody getting hurt. Now, when I look at this guy, and before Josh said it too, and he's 6 foot, but 167 pounds. How are you 167 pounds and it's 6 foot tall? That doesn't make any sense. We need to get this guy on the beef loaf, the beefcake plan right now, which seems to be going swimmingly. Where you're polishing off triple cheeseburgers and ribs and a bunch of fries.
I've been working on my forearm planks, by the way. Okay, I'm getting up to speed in my forearm.
We need to get this guy some Lawrences, is what you're saying.
Loaf, may I ask you a question? Are you forearm planking and then eating the McRib only with your mouth, like off your coffee table, or what are you doing?
We
need to get him on this plan. And we need to get him nice and fucking fat, because if there's anything I know, and Lance Lynn has proved, if you're fat, you can throw much late into your 30s. This guy needs to get fatter, and I need him. I feel like he says he tops out at 97 miles per hour. He usually sits at 93 to 95. That we could get that up 3 to 5 miles per hour if he puts on about 30 pounds. So let's do it.
Gonzalez, though, is kind of difficult to hit. He only allowed 59 hits. I mean, the year before he walked.
Well, yeah, if you're never going to swing, if you're always walked, you're never going to swing. What are you going to hit for? You know, like, if you're going to walk or strike. You don't even put two hands on the bat when it's up there. It's like, let's just see it. Just throw a walk. It's no problem.
He's the Adam Dunn of pitchers.
Can Kyle?
He's going to my top 20 prospect for the
high?
White Sox, just to shove it. No, I'm kidding. No. I don't even come up with those lists anymore.
Well, so what's funny is that MLB Pipeline, Teal is the number 2 prospect right now. After this, Teal went to number 2. Braden Montgomery is number 5. Wickelman Gonzalez is the number 14 prospect in the White Sox system.
Wow.
All right. So number 1, Noah Schultz. Everybody's excited about Schultz at the winter meetings. So 2, you said, is Teal. Who's 3 would be Hagen Smith.
Yeah, 4
Colson Montgomery.
Yeah. Montgomery's back to back 4 and 5.
Okay, and then 6 is Edgar Caro.
Yeah, I don't know if you guessed number 7. It's a surprise. It was surprising.
George
to me.
Welkow?
No, he's 9.
Okay, no, then
Jairo
I don't.
Jairo Iriarte.
Oh yeah,
at number 7.
Another reliever.
Number 7.
Okay.
Well, I mean, like,
even though Getz mentioned him in the scrum,
Getz is pretending he's a starter
he
today.
He still is pretending. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, he's going to have every chance to start.
He will. So is that like Jake Eater then, number 8?
No, it's Grant Taylor, actually. Grant Taylor.
Okay. Oh.
Mason Adams, top 10. Mason Adams, top 10. So Taylor and Adams, 8 and 10.
Other scouts are impressed with Mason Adams. John Eli, who left the White Sox. He retired from baseball. There's a great story about him. Scott Merkin at MLB.com wrote about John and Eli. John Eli raved about Mason Adams as a pitching coach of the Birmingham Barons with Jim multiple times, and he's really high on Mason Adams. I wouldn't say he's down on Drew Thorpe. John shared as far as like his concerns with Drew Thorpe, and I think that they're valid and something that Thorpe needs to work on in this offseason spring training. But it was cool to hear. I mean, John Eli was a very good pitching coach for the Birmingham Barons, and obviously the Barons had a great season. But maybe, just maybe, the White Sox found another piece of coal that could turn into something in the major leagues with Mason Adams.
That would be beautiful. That'd be beautiful. I mean, it's very surprising to hear people down on Drew Thorpe, but maybe we trade him. He gets traded every year.
It's the fastball. Yeah, I know, but it's the fastball. Like no one wants a right-handed pitcher who throws 90, 91 anymore.
No, I get it. And Josh, I just want to quickly thank you. Going into tonight, duty. I was very, I was worried that
I was going to make it in time. I know
we wouldn't be able to do our 8:00 Star Wars show, and instead we do 2 hours together across Star Wars and across baseball. But this felt like just being out at the bar with you, and I appreciate you coming on and joining us. Now go get some rest, dude. You've had a hell of a week.
I appreciate it, guys. I have more dope. I have more off the record dope, but I do want to thank everyone that follows us on social media, that supports us on Patreon, for us to go down there in the winter meetings. Even though the White Sox are awful, other teams especially Major League Baseball, other writers, they do pay attention to what's going on with the White Sox. So that was really cool, not having to explain who we are. They were aware. So thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the content. And we got fireworks from it at least. Mike Talkman, right? No, I'm kidding.
We did, and I can't stress enough to the people that listening right now to follow Sox Machine and subscribe to their Patreon. They are beholden to no one. It's not like it's not like when you tune into something else where it's like they've got these like deep connections to the team, and they've got these things that, and like you feel like state media. The exact opposite with these guys. So I appreciate everything they do, and I mean, it's a place that we go for our info too. So we appreciate you, Josh, and we appreciate what you guys do at Sox Machine. And I'm gonna kick you out of here now because we got to do 108 stuff. But we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Later.
Take care, Josh.
I was very surprised to have Josh on tonight. It just so happened that I forced him to do that after
he made
we
it
did
home
the
in
Star
time.
Wars podcast. Beef, overall, how do you feel about the trade? Do you feel like this was a what they needed to do, what they had to do, or is it one of these things where it's like, you know what, it's bullshit that we had to trade this guy?
No, I felt like it was something that was worth doing from a risk standpoint. As much as I like Garrett Crochet, there is a limited track record. There is potential risk in kind of like he's been injured before. I also thought about it from the perspective of forget rebuilds or whatever. When you watch some of the mid-market teams or the small market teams, how they operate in general, how do they keep the thing floating? How does Cleveland stay good? Or how does, whatever, how does Tampa stay good? The way they do it is they don't wait till the very end and let a guy walk in free agency and take a draft pick for the most part. What they do is they find the optimal time to trade the guy off, reseed with additional players, and keep that young player flow going, right? It's very foreign to the White Sox because the White Sox never did it in the past. They did the opposite. They would trade off and try to add veterans and try to hold. And in the Kenny Williams era, that was fine. They were able to do it a bunch of times. With Rick Hahn, they only did let's hard sell off one time and hope that these all work. And you never got to get to the point where he decided, I'm going to trade out of this guy and try to do something different and change directions here. I think if the Getz version of this is going to last, we're probably going to have to do this again. And we might even have to do this type of trade when the team is pretty good. We might even have to trade out of a guy when the team is pretty good. And you're going to look at it and be like, what the fuck, man? We should have extended that guy. But they might have to keep reseeding, to keep adding talent to the group because, as you see, these things become finite. So, yeah, I thought from a risk standpoint it was worth doing. I thought they got market value, which ended up rising quite a bit given the pitcher market. And I expect more of this to come, and I expect more of it to come possibly when they're a halfway decent team to reseed the group.
MSS.
Yeah.
Are Kyle Teal and Braden Montgomery at SoxFest Live?
I don't think so. No, I don't think that's happening. I would be shocked if they bring him in. I know they were going to be at the Red Sox Festival. That's going to be at Fenway. They were supposed to be there. 3 of the 4 guys that we got today were supposed to be at the Red Sox Fest. So that they're going to have to get some new guys up there. But no, I don't think they'll be there. I had one thing that no one's really talking about with Garrett Crochet, and it's something that like I kind of latched on to immediately in this, is I know they needed to trade him to like make the team better. But what they're not talking about is July 29th when Crochet demanded and went to the media and said, this is how I want to be used for the rest of the season. I want to be shut down, or I need a guarantee. If I'm going to get traded, I need a guarantee contract. And I think this was Chris Getz kind of saying, listen, let's not do this shit. Like I don't want to say you put a smack down on him, but he also was like, okay, he's done, because I remember when it happened, I was just looking at the article, like he was really kind of pissed off. Like Getz was like pissed that came out in the media versus him just talking to him about it because he thought that they had that. And maybe on the standpoint of a guy who's trying to build up some respect within like the clubhouse, from the players to the front office, like, hey, talk to me. Don't just go out in the media and say what you want to say.
Crochet ultimately got what he wanted, right?
I'm assuming he did, right? But and also Getz is getting what he wants too, right? Or like he got more prospects, and hopefully it's going to further along. I agree with Loaf, and I think it's consistent. He hasn't shown enough to me to be like, yeah, we should really build around this dude. Like you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. A year ago, if we would have said we're in this position, we've got these players, everyone would be like, that's fucking amazing. This guy has pitched, 22 innings for us. And now he had one good season, and you got 4 prospects back for him. I think going forward, that's good. I mean, I'm not upset by it.
Guys, earlier today I asked you, hey, can we do like 30 minutes later tonight? So as we get into the hour and a half, we might as well finish out in a regular fashion. Let's do some thank yous and GFYs. Beef, who are you thanking or GFYing?
I'm gonna go ahead and thank my team at work. It was end of the year. We had year-end reviews and everything, and I gave my team a great review. But from my boss, I got the review point that I really have a terrific team, and that is true, and it makes my life better and easier when you go to work every day and you like the people you work with, and they work hard with you, and you're grinding it out together. So I got my team at work. Thank you, appreciate you, and I hope I make it clear to you all the time that I'm thankful for what you do.
Love it. I love it. The teams at work, Beef, I think I share that sentiment. Like the people that I work with, not only just help me out on a day-to-day basis, but I was talking to this guy that I work with. He's from Vegas. He's going to be in town in January. He goes, I bought 6 tickets to your event. He goes, I'm bringing guys from work. We're going to check out what you do live. I am terrified.
Awesome.
I'm terrified.
Yes,
I'm terrified.
Man, I'm gonna make fun of you.
MSS, who are you thinking of GFY?
I was gonna say the people I work for suck. But hey, they're kind of a little flighty. Some days they're good, some days they're not good. They have their days. I want to thank the Chicago White Sox Charities for hosting a great garage sale on Friday and Saturday. They had a mix of stuff that was awesome for any type of person that was coming through that wanted to buy something. They had autographed pictures for $2, and of Liam Hendricks, for God's sakes, and Michael Kopech, like all the stars that we used to have, for $2. They had this. They have mostly volunteer staff. Our guy Matt Ramsey was there working the register as always. He's such a good little worker over there. They actually said to me, with the pile of stuff I had, you're gonna wait for Matt Ramsey because he can handle this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, he can. So we thank you to the Chicago White Sox Charities for putting on a great 2-day sale over there. Chorizo, who you thinking or GFYing?
Well, I feel like at the end of the show, I filleted Josh enough and telling people to get his Patreon. So I'm not going to thank him. He's got that already. You know who I want to thank right now, MSS?
Who?
Everyone who's already bought tickets to our Reggie show.
That would be,
fuck yeah.
And anyone who's going to buy them tonight.
Please.
But the rest of you, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Have a good night.
All right.